Section 1 of Boy in the Wind. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Boy in the Wind by George Dillon. Read by Newgatenovelist. How came this troubled one to stray with fire and song in the wind's way? Indifferent and dumb and sweet, the seasons fall about his feet. Frail flames are set behind his eyes, and under his ribs his heart makes moan, like a pent bird who throbs and dies. He walks in the windy night alone. And who would know if he should sing, whose song is less than the murmuring of the wind full of the ruin of spring? And who could say if he had flown like a flame blown out, or a bird upblown? Or if his heart cries out in pain, who hears the cry through wind and rain? He wanders east, he wanders west. Where will he ever come to rest, with that fire blowing in his brain, and that bird grieving in his breast? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Enchantment by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. No man can say what spell was thrust into the dreamlessness of grass, to yield that holiday of dust where his few aimless footsteps pass. He goes aware of winds and thunders, and sets a roof against the sky, or walks the world in search of wonders, or stands to watch the stars rush by. The noiseless sun makes sweet for him the secret soil he ploughed and planted, where his forgotten fathers swim with earth through darkness disenchanted. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Tree of Night by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. O tree of darkness, sprung from earth, what sorrow, what a due to birth! What moon shall penetrate your pall of lively shade, or what spade shall the unsubstantial root upplough? What blade hew down the airy bough? Stern nothingness, who bloom above us, how you do threaten us and move us! Though spring obscure you in its hour, while your white stars remotely flower, and that gold bird, the sun, flies under, and you are quick with wind and thunder, yet we are fearful out of reason for your more black and bitter season, which brings such pleasant things to doom, a time, I think, when no stars bloom in the intolerable gloom. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Elemental by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. What roar the seas would make that lie level in their prodigious dish of earth, if they should spill in sky, is common knowledge to the fish. He glides unharassed, no alarm assails his proper sense, for it is privy to that secret storm of thunders throttled in a pit. But since abundant bubbles break upon his flinching fins in pain, an atmosphere of wind would make sheer torment through his narrow brain. For this despise him not at all. He does not need for being brave the way of the intrepid gull, whose wing eludes the lifted wave. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Compliment to Mariners by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Man's earthliness, which saints deplore, suggests that his most potent worth is surely to refresh the store of diligent dead compact with earth. In their dull drudgery he shall enlist, save that he make his tomb the sea where pallid fishes fall like slow snow down the tall green gloom. Such proud exemption justly goes never to them who vainly sing in strenuous awe before a rose, or tremble in the furious spring. Wherefore, dark mariners, you earn a certain envy that you set wide banners on the wind and spurn the crowded island, and forget you ever trod its greenest shore. But most, that finally you stand in cold unlabouring coral, or insinuate the sterile sand. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. On Bones by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. All adamantine permanence is wrought of unearned indolence. Still stones will sleep forevermore, but waves walk always to a shore. Limbs leap in endless arrogance at last, but the insentient bones stretch slow relaxing skeletons. Most undistressed of all that dies, these settle in immune demise, where no near cover can encumber, save alien earth, their rigid slumber. For as the flesh unceasing flies to nourish the relentless root, they sink in rest more resolute. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Song on Death by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. The world works round still, though he move below the ground that was above. Nor poorer nor richer, the sun lifts bold, like a round-mouthed pitcher pouring gold. But no light lingers on the closed-up lid, and the still fingers, these are hid. Believe not his sleep who there sleeps. Here is the substance, where now is the sentience, whose narrow history slips its dimensions. This is the mystery. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Summer Sea by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Not yet the earth has answered me, and I have come upon the sea, a wall of water and a shore. Here halted other feet before. In pools of shadow on the sand their empty indentations stand. Now I shall ask of sea and sky. I asked of them who with earth lie, but they have given no reply. They have no word, no source of sound, save their soft merging with the ground. O unimprinted blazing sea, earth has no answer, answer me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Biography by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. The silver stars, the golden sun, are strangers to this alien one. He would converse with them, but he is silenced by their secrecy. To sorrow he will come, I fear, not having learned their language here. He hails from the unhearing ground, and will not be beguiled by sound. The noiseless tumult of the spring invades him, therefore he must sing. His sudden heart is nearly broken, with strange words urgent to be spoken. He seeks a peace he will not find, save in the land he left behind, this homesick vagabond from dust. At last, I think, his lonely lust with earth's undreaming lust is one, and he forgets the golden sun. And still the sun bestows the day, and the stars keep their voiceless way. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Flame by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Observe, O song, the one who came in mystery and goes in grief, bearing along the night a flame, irrelevant, beautiful, and brief. Reveal upon what stony place his love comes down like desolate rain. Record the wonder in his face, be the anatomy of his pain. Describe indelibly the chart, the eyes that open to the sun, the dreaming hands that reach, the heart beating amid oblivion. When all is blind that was so brave, and the brave flame is blown away, tell how, where the blind grasses wave, once trembled pity and dismay. How, with the savage earth beneath, and the indifferent sky above, one wandered, loving even to death. Song, be the testament of his love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. April's Amazing Meaning by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. April's amazing meaning doubtless lies in tall horse boys and slips of slender girls with suddenly wider eyes and parted lips. For girls must wander pensive in the spring when the green rain is over, doing some slow, inconsequential thing, plucking clover. And any boy alone upon a bench when his work's done will sit and stare at the black ground and break a branch and whittle it slowly. And boys and girls, irresolute, will curse the dreamy weather until they meet past the pale hedge and put their lips together. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. In 2 Months Now by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. In 2 months now, or maybe 1, the sun will be a different sun, and earth that stretches white as straw with stony ice will crack and thaw, and run in whistling streams and curve in still blue-shadowed pools. The nerve of each pink root will quiver bare and orchards in the April air will show black branches breaking white, red roses in the green twilight will glimmer ghostly blue and swell upon their vines with such a smell as only floats when the breeze is loud at dusk from roses in a crowd. I know that there will be these things, remembering them from other springs. All these and more shall soon be seen, as beautiful as they have been, but not so beautiful as they seem now to be a month away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Conventional Song by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Atoms in disunion go unseen before the sun. Wherefore heed the halted dust ere it scatter, for it must. While each sense is sure, expose each to ascertain the rose, whose essential shape and smell soon are imperceptible. Fingers reach and palms are strong, since they may not linger long, let them linger on what's fair. Leaves are married to the air, lips are mixed into the mire, while my transient eyes desire, let them rape the transient rose. Girl, ere some swift autumn blows one of us to some strange south, let your mouth receive my mouth. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Pantomime for a Spring Twilight by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Dumb and vaguely to the vision, like a ghost or apparition, or a memory or a dream, geese shall go in a pale stream through the blue misty air, down a purple pathway where slender tall trees rise like smoke, black and wavering, with one oak near the bottom of the hill, in whose night shall wait a still, patient boy, watching the broad, pale birds lunging down the road lightly. He shall watch and wait, till a figure follow straight, hard behind the glimmering geese, paler and more swift than these. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Afternoon by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. I came to an orchard, blossoms blowing on twisted branches, trees inclined by wind, all lunging west and throwing their shadows parallel behind. A frail green wave of rain swept in, flashing the sun like broken glass. It threaded slanting through the thin black boughs. I stayed to see it pass. It hurried out across the meadows, and in a wide bright mist was gone. I stayed to watch the orchard shadows crawl east an inch, then wandered on. But very soon I heard a mutter along the dusty road afresh, and when I reached the pond, the water was silver rings in a windy mesh. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. These Springs Articulate by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. These springs, articulate of resurrection, do so persuasively recur to bring a youth to every elemental thing which is one essence in fourfold dissection, telling what clearer clarities lie locked within each globe of dew, how wind and flame clothe variously the unapparent same infinity whereby the seed is rocked, that I forsake a fear, which is the just and dubious old property of dust, seeing the common couch of slaves and kings, lonely and dark amid the roots of trees, whence I must sometime wake to other springs, from sleep which is a sustenance to these. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. In Regions of Late War by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Because I am distracted by old rare recurrent magic, the dark streams of swallows, the round new turtles tipping in the shallows, the orchards opening to the pungent air of this strong pregnant land, 6 swift years after, where throbs spring's hushed unaltered turbulence, and so am seizure to the high pretence of beauty and her allegoric laughter. Think not that I have therefore less decision to probe below earth's slowly flowing crust, where what was men and men's tall towns is dust, finding how hurt is sanctioned in provision, by what sure process uncompassionate, as many men as whose torn flesh is drowned in battle blood on any battle ground, that ground serenely can assimilate. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. No Question by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Seeing at last how each thing here beneath the glimmering stars is lawful, having found by a wide watch how scrupulously death to keep his tacit promises is bound, how from their vagrance the disbanded dusts resume integrity in blood or bloom, how punctually the sun-struck red rose thrusts its rigid flame into the golden gloom, knowing that ultimate prospect where appears the accurate ebb and flood of furious water, the undirected wind's clean course, the sphere's deliberate strong spinning, I would utter no question now, nor prosecute in words why birds must fly, seeing the flight of birds. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Pigeons by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. At morning the pale pigeons come in a band, shining and fleet, descending lightly where I walk through red metallic tulips grown high in the yellow air. When they are here, my garden is never my own. I am a newcomer in a silent land, and after I have gone, the birds will run about, the tulips stand. The level breeze is silent in the sun. The beautiful birds flock down. I cannot bear their folded ivory wings. I cannot ponder their hard incurious stare. They peck possessive on the ground. I wander slow and persistent over grass and stone, softly to scatter them until they lift, and I am left alone. They go forgot in sky, but they will drift together downward and sink suddenly to flutter at my feet like blossoms blown from a high windy tree. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Song in a Garden by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Whatever I love I shall forget, even the dove and the violet, even the clover blossoming in whirlpools in the grass in spring, music even, everything. Is there anything I can keep in sleep more silent than a dream of swans upon a silver stream when the wind is low and the sun has set? What I know I shall forget. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The World Goes Turning by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. The world goes turning, slowly lunging, wrapped in churning winds and plunging rains. The land and the waters turn, the mountains stand solid and stern, but the rivers slide gently in valleys, lithe fishes glide in their cold alleys, and there are creatures of various forms and various natures. Rosy worms wallow at dawn in pools of dew, cloud white upon amazing blue, the silken billow bellies and fills, a windy pillow for the heads of hills. Ships fling a flag and a golden sail down seas whose shaggy waters pale, on a rock-sharp shore where cold weeds swim. Encircle and soar, at the water's rim disconsolate gulls ride the air. Moons convulse, upon sleek stare, to wave and ripple minutely bright. Stars stipple the roof of night. Under that roof where thunders are, I stand aloof, watching a star. What am I that stand and watch, 2 yards high, more than a patch of blood and bones, for a certain space, more than a stone's smooth sightless face? For a little time, a little more than the waves that climb on a timeless shore? More than water and dust and all, while pulses flutter their mystic small miraculous hour? More than a bird that has no power of weeping word? More than creeping, leaping, winging creatures, weeping not, nor singing? More than trees that root in clay? More than these, for a little day? In littleness proud and lonely, I am less than God only. 2 yards high, under a star in a windy sky where thunders are, I watch and sing. And the long swaying wind bells ring, and the churning braying waters lash, and a star floats burning, and clouds crash, and the world goes turning. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Birds Everywhere by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. The round world flutters with thousands of birds, a maze of feathers bright and pale, and wings unfurled in flowery flocks, like garlands waved in a gale. The world glitters and sighs with cities, full of sorrows and songs and lights. Their towers are the most furious blooms that break in the starry nights. The birds of the mind on plumes of fire help fly the birds of feather and bone, and the mine's towers lift to the stars above the towers of stone. Under the moon, or the mine's moon, men build their houses heavenwards, and east or west, wherever they build them amid the birds. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Boy and Tree by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. In frugal days that fell like petals, one by one, this boy could hardly tell what dream he had begun. So innocent and sane the serious vision grew, he would have wished in vain to tell its name to you. Oh, noiseless mystery! It towered high and wide, it was the very tree of loneliness and pride. At last, oh starry sight, the boy cried out, and lo! The blossoms burst like light, the petals stormed like snow. Now in his youth's sweet spring, such pleasant flowers unfold, as bid the heart to sing, but he is proud and cold. How can he be beguiled, though fragrance stop his breath, who gathered as a child the dreadful blooms of death? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To a Dead Comrade Who Listened Well by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Your hands are empty that each hour plucked stillness as it were a flower. Though rain its intervals prolong, you do not hear its softest song. You do not hear the hush that you heard once at dawn amid the dew, the hush that was the sunlight's speech, where the blue wave made shrill the beach. The windless hush, the hush you heard between the sea and the sea-bird, the hush that fell when in the glade the partridge her frail thunder made, or where above the hill at night the seven-lanterned plough rose white. All these are lost in your low room, where a huge silence comes to bloom, whose airy leaf and secret smell no wind or weather can dispel. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. In Favour of Stone by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Rain would win his wildest moods, certainly he will not rest, if green rain in rigid rods bores the ground above his breast. On a shaken apple bough he would climb for highest fruits, laughing. Will he suffer now that his wrists be bound with roots? Earth should harbour old men, too tired to be perplexed by it. There's too much that earth might do with a boy whose bones are fit to be housed by stone instead, unoppressed by any bolder beauty than a spider's thread, glistening from shin to shoulder. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Elegy on a Poet by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. What dreaming fury he once was, at length eludes the rhetoric, being secured but briefly as flame petalled on a wick. Nor can that anger crawl in grass down any indolent green plain, submissive to the feet that pass, and supplicant to reign. The dream that lifted up his head beyond the dimmest star is found, not in a word he ever said, not in the noiseless ground. For some of him the unlocked rose discloses surely, and some is in an old song, but something goes with all the mysteries. Deep in the hollowness where swim the white moons, the gold suns, no word is wonderful to him, or to what he was once. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Legend by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. First thunders spoke at 1:30 on the 6th day. The new sun burned white behind great silver clouds, and clattering softly in the crowds of trees, and droning on the meadow, the first frail rain spread like a shadow, till suddenly it was released upward within a wide white mist, leaving sharp colours and new smells. Pink snails looked out from their blue shells. 2 wide geese, brilliant from their bath, came rocking down a thumb-scooped path, their stiff steps shattering the bright green puddles there. The air flowed white. The apple tree, just blossoming, became a strange star-glittering thing. When the rain singing scarce was over, they stared irresolute from cover. The man leapt forth and gave a cry, and wallowed in the weeds to dry. But Eve stood tiptoe under a slim, wind-ruffled ark with a red rim, and screamed in terror, seeing such a beautiful thing she could not touch. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Ballet by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. The blue profound stage gleams with narrow girls, like moonlight in a cavern, while clear, slow waltz notes ascend from shadowed instruments. Their pallid arms precisely float and glow. Their trembling arched legs lift, their skirts drift wide, their bodies bend like soft blown flames until, like steadied flames, they straighten and subside, making a silence ere the strings are still. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Hands by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Hands that work for the mind pursue a patient quest to covet, seek and find, and come to rest. But hands are never stilled, serving the heart that grieves. Across the world unfilled, they blow like leaves. Autumn is always on them, and winter coming fast. It is love's rage upon them, her ruin at last. It is love's wind that guides them to do her random will. They will be flying still till the snow hides them. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Snow by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. 1. Amid the holy weather of winter, one speaks wisely of many things believing nothing. Truth only does not cringe from the cold. She passes clear and incredible through the white weeks. Lovers, love growing a little gaunt and gay, become articulate on a winter day, when flashing firelight captures and composes. He has brought flowers, as if to say, "See, there are flowers even when it snows. What if the wind has blown a few petals away? What if we cry a little for one lost rose? There are so many roses." 2. As white and noiseless as snow, she says, and he, roses and snow are very much the same. White roses are, at least, and as I came hurrying here, roses occurred to me. Sometimes when people dream, seeing the snow, they dream of roses, and are taken with dread, and an old, innocent pity for the dead, and carry garlands to their snowy graves, feeling somehow they will awake and know. She smiles and stares, as if she had not heard each aimless, inescapable word. Can you recall that morning by blue waves you told me how, beholding death, you knew no faith in it, but only grief? Do you believe death now? I think that I believe only what I can make no answer to, and what cannot engage me cannot grieve. This snow, for instance, blowing down the window, and there is nothing nearer death than snow. Has she not heard? Or does her converse flow not with the word, but with the innuendo? When I recall it, sitting here today, that extreme spring seems very long ago, and all its beauties very far away, and I can hardly remember, watching the snow, what lost enchantment guided us amid what lost delight, so beautiful and so remote, and like a dream it seems, as though it never happened. Perhaps it never did. 3. One understands so much, believing nothing, he says, and many things must be forgot. There will be snow wherever I walk tomorrow, whether it snows or not. We speak truly of what is dead and gone, but of the other things we have nothing to say. Now we shall always feel the snow coming on, no matter how fair the day. You will remember what I have prophesied. After a few more winters we shall meet again. I'll come again down this white street and talk to you, and there will be more to be said, we having lived a little longer and died, for we are always dying till we are dead. 4. He is not sure of this. All he is sure of is the snow sidling softly along the pane, drifting away and blowing back again, and falling wordless and resolute and slow. Not stars above the sea, not wind or rain, inhabit so enormously the brain. There is nothing nearer nothing than snow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Serenade by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Your pallor is no rose that blooms, and no white bird with glassy plumes. More pale than pear trees blowing white, your body trembles on the night. The music of your motion is least dubious of mysteries, for so I sense you from afar. Like bird and bloom and song you are. These things I loved, but they are lost. The bird is broken on the gust, the bloom is given to the dust. A song is never always new, and is forgot, and you, and you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. En route by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Companioned by long loneliness, I go to meet my true mistress. With loneliness too large to suffer, you go to meet your true lover. Mistress or lover, death must be vouchsafed our certain constancy. Yet, since we go one journey and go toward a terribly dark land, let us go, therefore, hand in hand. If out of loneliness we kiss, our honor is not hurt by this. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. As Dancers by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. As dancers to soft music move, so lovers take one tread in love. They hardly hear a sound at all, till suddenly their spirits sprawl against a hard hush like a wall, as dancers when the fiddles fall. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Serenader by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. I have no thing that is mine sure to give you, I am born so poor. Whatever I have was given me, the earth, the air, the sun, the sea. If I have anything to give, made surely of the life I live, it is a song that I have made. Now in your keeping it is laid. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Love Like Fear by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. I hear no sound but my heart's sound, since love has come like fear, and bound the earth in her soft spell, and drowned in dreadful stillness sea and sky. Now everything that dreams will die. She sets her curious calm upon star and blossom, bird and stone, and sighs, and suddenly everything is wild and still, and the pale spring in terrible silence trembles and blooms like many peacocks lifting their plumes. Who dreamed that love would come like fear? This is that quiet, sick and clear, before a thunderstorm. I hear only my heart beat in the hush, ere the wind roar, the rain rush. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Moment by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. When stars flew like bright leaves above the glittering sea, I sighed for love, and for a moment sensed, so kind is love's delirium to the mind, the world is one enormous flower, sprung from the mind's tree hour by hour, that could not wither, but must blow forever on that secret bough. And suddenly I stood so tall, The moving earth seemed magical, as April's first frail lily seems, and beautiful as briefest dreams that bloom about my silent bed, and sea and sky swung in my head. A bird cried, and the vision fled. Again I walked minutely where immensity made blue the air, the stars blown wild like leaves once more, the sea repeating as before its murmur on the mindless shore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Hard Lovers by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Now austere lips are laid sternly on lips, implicit in each bold body, dread of the outrageous visit. As wind in a tall tide flooding the frantic trees, love, long withheld by pride, breaks coldly over these. Their heritage is peace, they root in a strong languor. Like wind-assaulted trees, they bend in terrible anger. They coldly clash. If either yields any tenderness, it is that they together share deeply one distress. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Wintry Spring by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Oh, love that died surely in the spring long ago, will you blossom securely with your roots in the snow? Does any rose blow in the wild, silent winter? Can any flame burn with the ice at its centre? Will the swallows return? The blooms were so brief I can scarcely remember the light swinging leaf in the twilight of amber. But now in December I sow the frail spring. Will it bloom for a breath? Will it lift? Will it sing with its roots deep in death? I have found a cold girl, and the snow is her friend. Where the roses unfurl, she will move like the wind, and no autumn can end such a bleak love as ours. We shall live, being lost, with our hands full of flowers, and our hearts full of frost. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Again by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Again before our ignorant eyes the beautiful moment blooms and dies. Here is a mystery as old as the rock moving under the sands. We are but children holding hands. Holding hands, what do we hold? What do we crush? Whose seed will flower beyond the endless arid hour? What do we hush? Whose echoes chime down the long starred drifts of bleak time? What can we do but tremble still, and kiss, and call the kiss a kiss? Having no eloquence for this eternity, we touch and kill. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To Losers by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Let loneliness be mute. Accuse only the wind for what you lose. Only the wind has ever known where anything you lost has gone. It is the wind whose breath shall come to quench tall flaming trees and numb the narrow bones of birds. It is the wind whose dissipating kiss disbands the soft assembled rose. It is the wordless wind that knows where every kind of beauty goes. And if you lose love in the end, say it was taken by the wind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Dream by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. It is earth keeps me, whatever I have said. Whatever I have sworn, I shall go back to her. She will claim every wanderer, she will bring every lover to her bed. When I am tired I feel her hand on my breast, weigh like a silence where your hand has tossed. Love me, or I am lost. Longing to sleep, I serve her passion best. God knows I am married to her, whatever I said, and you are a dream, and I am dreaming all this. I shall wake to her wild kiss, her breasts of granite, her thighs of wind instead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Letter in Autumn by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. I saw the worn granite gathering without end its frail harvest of foam. I heard the storms upstart. I thought, only the sea's intransigence and the wind companion love's blind tide against the heart. And because no fury but of wind and water matched the beating in my breast, and finding no answer but in these, I lay tonight by the uplifted sea and watched where the foam flowered about me like brief trees. I saw the water blowing like dark fire, I heard far cries caught in the wind's breath. They were as old and desolate as my desire, love's very ravings at the door of death. I think no matter what journeys I may go for love's sake, or whatever peace I find, the sea will wake in my heart, and the wind blow, on autumn nights, terribly in my mind. I think I shall never be startled when summer is dying out of my sleep by the rumour of wind and rain, but I shall remember, and hear those voices crying amid the waves' loud wilderness again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Mother by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. What secret have you kept that you cannot say? What have your eyes to tell that they brood on me now? Your hand is peace on my brow. What have I lost? What have I thrown away? Be still. Your words are all spoken, and my words turn into prose and falter at your smile. Hold me a while. Our hearts come close like wind-bewildered birds. There is a moon outside. It is a night for fun. From summer and from the city I shall take what I need. You will sit here and read. You are happier than I shall be when I have done. I am afraid. I think how the wind will put us apart. I wonder, will I learn the quiet in your touch? Will I love someone so much? Will I carry pain till it is peace in my heart? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Twilight in a Tower by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Finding the city below me like a flame in the last sunshine, I said to autumn, "Blow on. We are building a beautiful spring you cannot claim in this country of stone." And seeing so many men march in 1,000 ways, the old way of hunger and thirst, I thought, they are going somewhere, somewhere their dream is waiting, whether they know it or not. But night came, smelling of far fields, and even that brave procession, moving with purpose and pride, became like shadows wandering or driven, and the wind cried, and the world seemed a world of autumn and wind, and the city but a frail rustling by the sea, of men like leaves blown blindly without end from life's wild flowering tree. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. City of Wind by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. You ask, who is it you kiss when you kiss that way? You ask, where have your lips flown now? And I, dissembling, protest. What would you say if I should say, to a city of wind, a city of towers trembling? I thought I should tell how I wooed you for her sake, since she would not listen. But how could you understand, you to whom love is a voice, a footstep, a hand? What do you know of a love that is only an ache? What do you know of love that is only a want at night in the wind, when even the buildings blow and cry in their joists, and people are blown aslant with fences and trees and the dumb drift of snow? How can you understand that whatever I thirst for, it is nothing but shadows I am seeking, remembering a city at dusk and the wind speaking, remembering it was a dream that I longed first for? And would you believe it is to a city of wind blowing my heart must go home at last, a lover and child, to lose its pain in her heart wholly, knowing it is a heart of wind, hollow and wild? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Autumn Wind by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Now speaks the naked wind alone, since earth's frail poetry is done, and summer's tuneful lips are sealed. The dusk is deep on every field, where flowers glimmered, white and cool as stars repeated in a pool. I find, as through the night I pass, silence where every music was. A softer silence falls for each lost syllable of silver speech, and sinks and settles to a hush. The stillness is one sound, the rush of the wind singing, soft and strong. It is the only endless song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Late Autumn by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Sparrows flock into a tree out of the gutter, as if last summer's leaves were blowing somehow onto the branches again with a quick flutter. They will be here all winter now, swarming from tree to gutter, from gutter to bough. They are most meagre of the meagreness we have kept, after the loud leaves going in hurried herds, after the rain has washed and the wind has swept. Earth's clear incredible music dies in a rush of red on the wind. Out of a furious hush I hear the cold calm voices of these birds. They are more real than butterfly or thrush. Indurate brood, who endlessly chatter and cheep, you are the fragments of a night no sun can scatter. You are less birds than shadows spun out of a tired brain in a troubled sleep, and it is shadows I keep. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Dark City by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. To those gay gypsies, moon and sun, and all fine things of earth and sky, I said, in love and sorrow, begone! I am that city where you die. I said, begone, for you will tread beyond this wall of flesh no road save the nerve's narrow highway laid to lure you from your wild abode. Within the blood's enchanted river all fevers lurk, and the heart stands like a sad tower to cast forever its shadow on your sarabands. The mind, that still Medusa, waits within her lightless house alone to glimpse you at the very gates and stare at you and make you stone. Turn back! Upon oblivion's shore life only draws her secret breath. I said, sweet dancers, come no more to this dark city ruled by death. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Man on a Bridge by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. 1. Upward into the starry night the town's pale towers take their flight. A man upon this bridge below may stand and watch the river flow. The city, frail and imminent, assails him with its discontent, and flames and faces blowing by are a reiterated cry. Where the dim water softly flows, his gaze for rest and refuge goes. Aloof and unconfused and hid, he stands, a shadow here amid the city, imminent and bright, whose pallid towers lift like light into the blue and noiseless night. 2. A river goes its unresisting way, wherever earth and air induce its going. It flows incognizant of night and day, and where it flows, it has no need for knowing. Water is more remote than stars. Its sound is like a bell unutterably distant. Its dreamless march, unloath and uninsistent, holds more of quiet than the grassy ground. Its movements are like music that has bound all sound to its acknowledgeable sound. It treads the sand, or falls from clouds or mountains, inviolable still, whether it twist and churn through channels or leap up in fountains, or lie in glassy pools, or move in mist. Here is a life released from death and birth. Here is a peace beyond all pain and fear. Everything born weeping out of the earth can find oblivion and quiet here. Even a city, sick of its own riot, might march into a river and have quiet. This water flowing careless where it must is earth's clear, ultimate element unaware. At last it will prevail, suppress the air, and quench the fire, and dissipate the dust. For even now it bids a man to be taking rest for his body in its nerveless stream, and ease for a heart on fire, and an end of aching, and a long calm for every windy dream. 3. Still with a sound like wheels and drums, the fragile city whines and hums. A man upon a bridge alone hears a clock strike and hurries on. Amid the city, frail and bright, he came to stand here out of the night, to watch a while the river flow. Where did he come from? Where does he go? He does not know. He does not know. 4. The street recalls his eyes. They have forsaken the silent stream whose waters gleam and quiver. He turns into the crowd. Now he is taken by the quick company as by a river. He goes into the night, forgets his dream of dubious eminence above a grave. No matter where he goes, he is a wave borne on the bosom of a vaster stream. He flows in the big flood of earth and air, where the faint words of men lament and sing, and hills and cities are the waters there, and autumn's ashes, and the leaves of spring. Out of what furious, forgotten source do these bewildered currents take their way, sharing a tortuous, eternal course between the changeless shores of night and day? He cannot tell. This river with no ending has caught and claimed him irretrievably. So wild it is, and unaware, and wending into a far-away and shadowed sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Fall of Stars by George Dillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. The snow came down like stars tonight over the city silently. The air, like a great glittering tree, bloomed noiselessly with light. I thought, it is the snow I see like stars, and it was long ago that ever I saw the stars like snow. And I thought of a boy, a long time dead, who dreamed such beauty out of pain that music moved within his brain, and the stars stormed about his head. His ghost is like the wind, I said, that cries into the crystal gloom, and wanders where the white clouds blow. And I shall hear his song, I know, wherever the boughs of silence bloom, with snow like stars, or stars like snow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. And end of Boy in the Wind by George Dillon. Thank you for listening.